Okay, so one thing is that earlier today I was experimenting with YouTube live stream, and I actually have I applied for and I was approved by YouTube for being able to do live streams. So I'm probably going to start doing live streams on YouTube here once I resume these live streams. Now the next thing is I'm actually going to be going out of town toward the end of next week. So I'm not totally sure if today or tomorrow is going to be the last live stream until I get back. So there's probably going to be close to about 2 weeks of no live streams until about the 19th or 21st of October. So sorry about that, but it'll be resuming around the 21st of October. So I don't know if I'll be able to do one tomorrow. If not, then today would be the last one until the 21st. But on the bright side, when I get back on the 21st, we'll be able to do it on YouTube, which might be a little better than doing it here. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. So what I'm hoping to be able to do today is to have some kind of a basic XML page layout that can be read through PHP and actually used to create a page. So in some sense, I'm looking for something that'll work like this. Maybe I'm just totally making this up as I go, but let's say something like this. Something similar to this, where basically a PHP class will go through here and parse each of these things and actually be able to construct a page of whatever type I want, and then it'll automatically know where to look for the CSS and the HTML for each of these different things. So that's kind of the goal. I don't know if I'm going to get to that goal today or not, but I'm going to try. So let's see where we're at here. So I'm taking the home page as the basis of this. So you can already see that the HTML here lends itself very well to this. So let's try this. Let's see. I can't remember if that's actually going to work out of the box or not. Probably not. Okay, so okay, that didn't quite work. And I didn't expect it to. I'm quite expecting that I'm going to have to architect this as I go. Alright, so I need to see what this assign placeholder function is like. Okay. Oh, div content. There we go. Okay, excellent. So that worked just fine. Okay, so let's go back and look at that page. So everything that is in body content gets placed here. So let's change this to homepage content. Should still work. Nope. Okay, what did I do wrong? Ah, right. Need to change it here as well. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So how would I think of this? I would think of this as we have homepage content, and inside of homepage content we have navbar, I'm thinking that I'm not going to have closing XML tags when it's not necessary. Okay, then we have container. Header, login box. Well, here, let's make this easy. Oops. There we go. Okay. Bottom nav and copyright. Okay. Now I'm going to need to create a class that can read this sort of file and turn it into a page. So I'm going to create a new directory here. We have templates. Let's create a directory called XML pages. And we'll write this there. Okay. Now we're going to need a class that does that. So let's see. Yeah, let's put it up here. Okay, good. Okay, now I need to open up the file. Okay. Okay. Good. Now we can begin to parse the file. So each line of the file, one by one, I'm thinking that I don't want this homepage content and slash homepage content. I'm going to take that out altogether. Notice I have to view page source to see that, because otherwise this HTML otherwise the web browser tries to parse this as HTML, and anything inside of these tags is invisible unless I view source. Okay, so we have navbar. So let's see if we can make navbar actually display. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now I need to figure out what do I do with navbar exactly. So if I remember right, where is the content for the navbar, or is it just in the PHP? Okay, right, we have assigned placeholder. Okay, div content navbar.html. Okay, so really it's the assign placeholder function that we want. How do I want to do this? Okay. That one I will exclude later. For right now, I just want to get these one at a time. So let's do this. Vim takes some practice, but it's very well worth it. Okay, so notice here that the navbar is now getting populated, and so is the copyright. Because what this does here, this for each loop is going to go through and assign, it's going to run the assign placeholder value for every element in the array that's created here. And what I need to do is make sure that this tag, yeah, this should work for right now. It just takes a lot of practice, but once you get used to Vim, you won't want to use anything else because it's so easy to use. You just kind of got to get used to it. But while you're learning, just stay in insert mode because it's the same as any other editor while you're in insert mode. Okay, so I think we actually have the goal here. Let me So right here, here we go. Okay, so we have the navbar. Well, we don't have the ability to do these tags that have child tags. We don't have that yet. And we also don't have the ability to, let's see, where's the We also don't have the ability to fill in the rest of this div class related stuff here. So let's see. Alright, so we're going to have each div tag, we basically have the layout like this. We have div and then class, the class name, the content, and then the slash div. Okay, let's see what we can do with that. Okay, let's see. I need to also know if I'm entering a tag or I've ended a tag. In other words, I need to know if, for example, I have a tag like this, I need to know when I get to this. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Oops. All right, let's see what happens. Nothing. Okay, that did not work. Okay. This never gets reached. Because, well, Let me see this. Yeah, it still thinks /container. Okay. Oh, right, because container happened much earlier in the process. So I need to have a memory of the prior tags, or more specifically, if the next line begins with a tab, I need to know that I'm still in the first tag. So we assume that we start with a tag, and then the next thing we want to check on here is if there is a tab. So let's see. Of course, the alternative is I could actually use PHP's inbuilt XML handling, but this is more fun. So I want to see if this begins with a tab at the line. Okay, good. So as soon as the line begins with a tab, we need to keep track of how many levels deep those tabs go. And we need to close these. There we go. Okay, that's what I wanted. All right. So I want to know how many tabs. That means I need to do this. Good. All right, let's test that and make sure it actually works. Good. 1 tab, then 2, then 3, then 1. Okay, so good. That's working just fine. Okay. So if there's 1 tab, wait. So if there's 1 tab, we need to know the parent for this particular node is going to be whatever current node was, or current tag was, before we got to this if statement. And we don't want that to get reset. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Now when this re-executes, I need to make sure that it knows that if current tag is already, or if parent tag is already set, it shouldn't be changed unless the number of tabs decreases back to 0. So let's see, how do I want to do that? All right, so else, which means the number of tabs is 0, then we can allow current tag to change. Our parent tag can be reset. All right, let's see if this works. Parent tag is currently 0. Okay, so obviously there's a flaw in my logic here. If the number of, okay, obviously this executes, this happens, current tag is here. Ah, that's why. This doesn't allow for the possibility that there are going to be tabs on the line. Okay, but this does. Okay, so this should open up a tag. Which it does. We have current tab nav bar. Then we check to see if there's tabs on the next line. There aren't. So it should reset the parent tag. Right, there isn't a parent tag for navbar. Then we go to container. Let's see what happens next. Ah. So header needs to show that there's a parent tag of container. Okay, let's see. Actually, in this case, there's no parent tag. So we can reset parent tag there. Here, if there's a tab, then parent tag needs to become current tag. And then maybe we can take this out altogether. Let's see how that works. Nope. It's still a little hard to see. Okay, let's see if I can make this a little simpler. This means that there's a tag that starts at the beginning of the line, so it won't have a parent tag. We're setting the current tag equal to that. Then we're checking to see if there's a tab on the line. If there is, all right, let's see what happens there. Parent tag is currently left choice, right choice. Okay, so it's thinking that parent tag is not being set to the parent, it's being sent to whatever the previous one was. Am I remembering to start this on the... Ah, that's the problem. There we go. This means the beginning of the line. If I don't have that, then it just matches any tag anywhere on that line. Oops. Container. Excellent. Now it knows the parent tab. Okay, that's what I wanted. All right, let's go ahead and test that with some random XML here, or something similar to XML. Actually, I don't have it capable of going multi-levels deep right now, only one level deep. So let's test that. Good. Parent tag is test, parent tag is test. And here all these parent tag is container. Excellent. Okay. So that's good. That's what I want. Okay. Alright, so now I think I can organize this a little bit better. Oops. Why not? Let's try that. Oh, I took out all of my messages there. Let's see. Good. Okay. So I can see it still works. So now I have to figure, how do I convert something that looks like this into something that looks like this? So first of all, I need to have some kind of running string that every time I parse one of these, it gets added to that string. That's the most logical thing here. So we have a tag, we have this div content, and we add the div content, okay? So let's see what the div content looks like when this is all done. I think I called it just div content, right? Yeah. Okay, this is element 0 where I have my nav bar. It says div class equals nav bar, and then it ends like this. This is the whole thing. It's not what I wanted. I see that there's new line characters in that. I don't want new line characters in that. Let's see if I can take those out. So what I need to do here is I need to trim, which means to remove new line characters. Better. Okay, except I don't want it to have these things inside of there. So that needs to be pmatches 1 instead, and pmatches 1 is current tag. Okay, better. That looks good, actually. Now, container is going to be the tricky one because I need to effectively replace everything here with all of its children tags. So to do that, I'm going to need to keep track of what the children tags actually are. So parent tag is going to be equal to container in this case, so I need to do something like this. Oops, not here though. I still need to obtain the actual tag. Okay, so children tags, parent tag, and let's see how that works. So look, here's the container, and here are its children tags. Header, login box, etc. to copyright. And if I look over here, that's exactly right. In fact, the formatting is a little off here, but it should look like this. Oops. And that is correct. So this much works. Now what I need to do is I need to go through this final array here, and I need to give it a structure similar to this. Okay, container. Okay. So container is an array, for example. So if it's an array, then I want to do this on all of its sub-elements. And I need to have a new for each loop. Later I'll do this with recursion, but for right now, it's fine. that just starts with an empty string. And then I'm going to add to that string the new line characters just for readability. And now and if I really want this to be readable, I'll even do this. So what this should do is it should start by creating the div structure for the container, then all of its children, then close the div tag. Let's see if it works. I've got a PHP error somewhere. Line 53. Something's wrong here. Let's see if I can figure it out. Okay, I'm not immediately seeing it. Let me look a little bit more at the error. It says unexpected t variable on line 53. Unexpected t variable. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I need to actually display my div content. Close. Div class equals array. But everything else looks good. I'm going to add a few new line characters so I can really clearly see where this is. There we go. Okay, so div class equals array, that should obviously say container. Everything else looks good. So that should be key. There we go. So now we have a mechanism that can just about do everything we want here. Let's just copy and paste this into the actual content here to see how close it is. Well, pasting is sometimes a bit of a pain, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay, I'm actually just about to wrap it up here, but we can see that it's definitely working the way I want it to. I think I made pretty good progress here. Probably the next session, which I may or may not do tomorrow, I'll be able to finish that part up at least. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions and answers now. So if you have a question, just type Q and enter and then type out your question. This part right here is the HTML that's been generated by the PHP that I've been writing over here. This whole class.xmlpages.php that we've written today, that's what has generated this HTML here, and it's generated this HTML entirely from this. All it has is this, and from this it has made this. So for example, everything you see here in this templates file that we had, let me just, yeah. All of this that you see here was not used to make this. Yes, exactly. I'm using the PHP to parse the XML or something that resembles XML in order to do that. The reason it's beneficial is because when I'm done, it's going to be able to. The reason here, let me. Okay, so each of these things, when we're done, each of these things is going to have CSS, JavaScript, PHP, HTML, all connected by the name. So my goal is not to have to write separate PHP, JavaScript, HTML for every time I want to do a new div tag or page. I want to be able to say something. Let's imagine I'm on some page. I want to be able to say, oh, and I want a section here, about us, for example. And just by doing that, everything will be automatically generated, and I'll have a basic about us page, and then I can just go in and edit the content. That's kind of the idea. So the purpose of the XML here is to make it so that all of the content is generated dynamically when I'm done. And I'm not entirely sure, Morpheus, what you mean when you're saying excluding that in the expression. What expression are you referring to? And just to go into a little bit more detail on the XML, and this is not technically XML. It may or may not be when I'm finished. It probably will be, but right now it's certainly not. But the reason for XML in general is just to keep track of data that has a tree, where you have parent and children, and you have certain attributes for each data element. That's really the idea here. All right. Yeah, what I could do actually is I could just take this out altogether, and I can let tabs do the work for me of knowing what is and isn't a child, but that's not really the end goal. And I don't want to be forced to stay rigid like that. But for right now, it's fine. This is very early on in the process. All right, anyone else have any questions? If so, then go ahead and type Q and hit enter so that I know. Well, that's the fun of experimenting. I mean, everything that I'm doing right now is trying things out and just seeing how it works. And, I'm going to be going through and filling in the blanks later on. But I kind of understand what you're saying. How do I know that I'm doing it right? I mean, the answer is when you're building anything, if you're doing it right by the fact that it works, and you have to test extensively. You can only be sure that it works to the extent that you've tested it. So what I know is that if I have this class and it's given an XML file that has so many tags, where some of these tags are one level deep, that it'll work. I can't say anything more beyond that. I can't say it'll work with 2 levels deep or 3 levels deep or any other structure. And that's the critical point here. I mean, you're building something and you test it, and to the degree that you've tested it, you know that it works, but not beyond that. So just as this builds out and I'm able to add more flexibility to it, I'll know that it's working the way I want it to. And it really just comes down to testing. If you have a function that's meant to do a certain thing, and you test it, and it does that thing no matter which way you test it, then it's fine. The real danger is writing something and just assuming that it works without testing it, or not testing it enough. That's when you get bugs. The code will always do what you've written. That's the beauty of programming. Anything you write, any code you write, it will do exactly what you said you wanted it to do. The problem is sometimes that you tell it to do something you didn't intend. And the way that you make sure of that is to test it extensively. Yeah, you're assuming, for example, that I have subdirectories. I will. Yeah, I haven't entirely decided on the structure that I'm going to have. I was thinking about having a subdirectory for each page, but then I thought maybe not. I'm still not sure yet. I'm probably going... See, the problem is sometimes one page can share content. You might have, for example, the nav bar on multiple pages, and so it doesn't make sense to have, for example, homepage/navbar, about us page/navbar, for example. So I haven't fully decided how I'm going to do that, and I'm kind of letting the structure of this dictate itself as it gets built. Any more questions? Well, two reasons. First of all, what I'm building isn't XML, at least not yet. And I'm more interested right now in the overall how these different nodes are going to interact with each other and what's going to be built from them. That's more what I'm focused on right now. So whereas I could use PHP's inbuilt XML classes, then I'd have to do a few things. First, I'd have to write this in true XML. And second, I wouldn't be able to explore the nature between these nodes the way that I'm able to right now. Let me get into a little more detail on that. Like all of this that I'm writing here, it's not just about parsing XML, it's about trying to understand exactly how I want the final HTML to work and exactly how I want the final structure of everything to work. It's all going to be connected in here, whereas everything that I've written here, if I was using PHP's inbuilt XML handling, is pretty much all done with one or two functions that are not expanded enough that I can put things in between the operations. That's kind of the point that I'm getting at. So when I'm done here, there will be a lot of operations that take place during the parsing that I'm going to be doing, and if I was using the pre-built XML handling functions, then there's not really room to do that. At least not as easily as what I'm doing here. And the truth is, it's not that hard to do. It's not that hard to parse this type of XML. So there's not really a need to use those functions, at least not for this. So any more questions? All right, well, I hope everyone enjoyed this session, and I will probably see you tomorrow. And if not, then I will see you in about 2 weeks. So everyone have a good evening. Goodbye.